Survivor, Eye of the Tiger at 9:03. Something really interesting is happening. Two people from Scotland, three people from India getting together for a wonderful workshop at the G5A, and it concerns theatre, storytelling, music. Daniel Allison, the Scotsman, is here to talk about a new conversation.
Good morning.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
What's up, Daniel? How you doing?
Hey, very well, thank you. How are you?
You're from the land of Sean Connery.
Yes.
But for most millennials, Sean Connery is just James Bond and nothing else. But for India, I have to tell you that there's a huge, rich legacy of Sean Connery as an actor, and all his movies have been dubbed into Hindi, notably The Rock and all those films, the action films.
Okay.
So, man, talk to me about what brings you to India and what brings the Scottish Storytelling Centre. That's what you represent, isn't it? Yeah?
Yes, and
Talk to me
Scottish
about
storytelling in general, I suppose, yeah. Well, this project was dreamed up by Devya Bhatia, and as a way of collaborating, bringing together young artists, a storyteller and musician from Scotland with artists based in India, a theatre director, actor, and a musician, and having us create new work together. And it's not just that, it's also a collaboration between two centres, G5A in Mahalakshmi, and then the Scottish Storytelling Centre, and starting a new relationship between them that's going to go on, and all kinds of things are going to come out of it.
Lovely. How long have you been here? How long have you been centred in Mumbai now?
I think it's been just about a week and a half. So we've just had quite a short amount of time to put together a performance that's been a very intense experience. And you yourself are a storyteller, you conduct workshops. Do you work in the theatre or across forms? I don't work in theatre, no. They're quite distinct art forms in Scotland, at least. Storytelling has its own scene and its own way of working.
So does India now. So does India. But the thing is, a lot of storytellers work, across the board, do a bit of theatre and this and that. But you're exclusive to storytelling.
Okay, yeah. And in Scotland, mostly people are exclusive to one or the other, yeah. And I'm exclusively to storytelling and do a bit of music as well.
So tell me what kind of stories you tell. Do you tell modern folk, modern tales? Do you tell ancient Scottish folklore? Just a bit about your art, man.
Yeah. Well, I started off when I first got into storytelling. What fascinated me was getting into the minds of people from other cultures that I didn't perhaps understand so well, and places that I'd visited. So I studied Amazonian folklore, Aboriginal Australian, Siberian folklore. And then what happened was this gradual process of coming home and going really deeply into the folklore of Scotland, Wales, Ireland. And my passion is really to take those old stories and bring them into the present and try and breathe life into them and help people connect with them and let them feel relevant.
I hope you're starting to study a little bit of Indian mythology. It's very rich. It could add to your stories, yeah?
I should have said that. Yeah, no, I spent over 6 months in India about 10 years ago, and I studied Indian mythology folklore.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata? Yeah?
Bits of them, yeah, and then individual stories and getting to know about the different gods and different philosophies as well. I love it.
So all of this is leading up to a couple of performances at the G5A.
Yep.
And this is the 24th and the 25th, is that it? Yeah. So tell me what people can expect.
You can expect a completely new experience. Really dynamic artists, very passionate about what they do, all four of them having come together to create something completely new and very contemporary. What's really exciting is that we're taking old stories and mixing them with modern stories, narratives of nations, Scotland and India, and also very powerful personal stories of our own experiences.
Wonderful. It's Robbie Williams. Let me entertain you. Back in a couple of minutes. 9:07. My name is Hrishi K. Robbie Williams, let me entertain you. Sheena Khalid Neeraj have joined us, joined Daniel Allison on the show. This is a really wonderful, wonderful experiment. It's called A New Conversation. Two artists from Scotland, two of them from India, coming together to put up performances on the 24th and 25th. Actually, a lot more than performances, but all of it is leading up to that. More conversation.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Hello, Sheena. Welcome to the show.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having us.
So he was talking about his particular art, and he was saying that he's a pure storyteller, and he doesn't do theatre. And in Scotland they like to keep, the never the twain shall meet. So a little bit about your background. I mean, I'm given to understand that you work in the theatre and you have your own theatre company, and that you write as well as direct as well as act.
Yeah, that's right. I have my own theatre company. It's called the Patchworks Ensemble. And we're a fairly baby theatre company. It's been only 3.5 years now. And the work that we do is, it comes under the term of device theatre, which essentially means that we don't have a script when we go into rehearsal. Things are developed on the floor. So we decide that this is a short story that we want to work with. We get a bunch of actors in, we jam in the rehearsal room, and then on the basis of improv is how we get a script created. So this process that we're doing in A New Conversation is not a process that is completely new to me, because I'm used to working like this, coming into a room with an absolutely clean slate and from there building, and I find it really, really exciting. And I also, what I really like about it is I feel that it gives an opportunity to each and every person in the room as an artist to contribute to the work. So in that sense, everybody owns the work, the final show that we have as it stands. So yeah, I've been doing theatre, and as it is with theatre, you have to do every role. So I write, I direct, I do production, I do tech, I also do a little bit of performance.
So let's come back to the fact that this entire improv model that you build, on performance day, are there certain rules and guidelines set, or with your group? Not in particular about A New Conversation, or on performance day, could you still have a few surprises?
Absolutely. I think we have the show, the structure of the show is always in place. But that's the beauty about theatre, no? And that's the beauty about live art. It's live. So there's always room for spontaneity on part of the performer. And I think that's what keeps the form also so exciting. It's really important though, and I think we've kind of got this as well in A New Conversation, with if Daniel proposes something new in this space, it's for me, it's my onus to listen to that and react to that, and then use that to build, and not if something new happens to be like, I'm sorry Daniel, we haven't rehearsed this, I need to stop you right now, we can't go any further.
And you're documenting all of this,
yes,
and that's what you do. You're a documentary filmmaker.
Yeah, that's
so. How different is this from anything that you've done in the past?
From anything I've done in the past, basically this has been, so I came into this project before the artists were even selected. So I've seen this process from the selection of the artist till their first meeting on Skype to their first interaction in person, and having seen it from start to beginning, I've seen this performance develop, and I've seen the whole, it's been the opportunity to see the conversation. And as a documentarian for this project, it has not been only limited to video. I've been taking photos, stills, text. I've been documenting their notes as well. Different things that came together to make this come together.
So let me get this straight. So even while a Skype session is on, you have to be on your toes.
No, not necessarily. In that scenario, in the Skype sessions and stuff, it was more of the photographs and stuff and all that. But yes.
So yeah, to get into the fact that this is different from anything that you've done in the past. Like Sheena, would you set the tone on what you've done in the past so that we understand that this is an exciting challenge for you?
So as a filmmaker, the medium I traditionally work in is more fiction and narrative based, and this was an experience to try something in the documentary space as well as kind of working across art forms, because when you're working on a film, it's predominantly just that. There's something to draw from, but here there was a clean slate to draw from, so it was anything that we wanted it to be.
Okay, as always, after a couple of talk sections, we go into some messages and some music, so you're not going to hear our voice over the next 8 minutes. Keep yourself busy. If you have any comments or questions, I'm happy to read them out on air. So it's 1 space your comment, space your name to 53650. 53650 is the in-studio SMS line. On Twitter as well as Facebook, you can go to the search bar, you can type HRISHIKAY, I'll pop up, and you tweet out your comment or question along with your name. You post on the timeline inbox along with your name on Facebook and facebook.com/radio1.mum. It's Sheena, Daniel and Neeraj in studio. We're talking about A New Conversation. Scottish and Indian storytellers, theatre people, and in Neeraj's case, a filmmaker getting together and creating something wonderful that will be on stage at the G5A on the 24th and the 25th. More chat in a bit. I'm Hrishi K. We're at 9:16.
94.3 Radio 1.
That Fat Boy Slim video has Christopher Walken doing such an amazing job with just a walking cane, with all the acrobatics and dance choreography. Weapon of choice. the G5A and the Scottish Storytelling Centre get together to do something. The umbrella is called A New Conversation. So storytellers, theatre people, all getting together on the 24th and the 25th. Tickets are at bookmyshow.com at 8 p.m. A wonderful performance comes out of this this residency, these series of workshops. And Sheena Khalid Neeraj, as well as Daniel Allison from Scotland, are talking to me about that.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
So the umbrella is called A New Conversation, Danielle, but what happens on the 24th and the 25th at 8 at the G5A is a performance piece called, get into it.
It's called Where I Stand. And it's the culmination of a journey we've gone through, working together, creating together, bringing what we already do, and then learning new stories, creating new music, and kind of finding where we stand within, looking at our own histories, our mythologies, and seeing what's important to us, what we're passionate about, what we share, and where we're different.
Sheena, add on to that. So, since you said that you're having the time of your life, what is this all leading up to?
So, when we started working around 2 weeks ago, and we were going back and forth and exchanging all these ideas and stories and things that excite us, something that came up as a common ground was places. The places that we grew up in, places that we've lived in, and places that have significant history for us. So with Daniel and his just his wealth of knowledge with the myths that he brings from Scotland and Ireland and Norse mythology, we have Ailey, who's she does traditional Scottish music, and she's a fiddle player. And there's Muhammad, who's a storyteller, a poet, and a musician from Kashmir. A lot of his work is very, very based in where he comes from, the kind of life that he has led. And for me as well, Bombay plays a very important role in who I am as an artist. I find the city is maddening, and it drives me up the wall, but I also feel like it just really inspires me in mad ways. So I think that was something that really got us excited, and that became the starting point for us. So it's places and their history, where they stand now, and where and the future, and what we see as the future of these places that we call home.
Now, documenting all of this could either mean you document as is, or you add some layers to it.
Right.
Are you trying to add a little bit of your own character and where you come from
Absolutely.
into this?
Yeah, so I grew up in California, and having moved back to India now, I'm really seeing these. I grew up with the culture of learning about India from my parents. So I've kind of seen it from an outside perspective, but I've also seen it from the inside because I used to visit every summer and all of that. So it's really been amazing to see these 4 artists, 2 from a background in the UK and 2 from India, and how they've kind of, there's that, like from the colonial times and all of that, there's this history between UK and India, and how the British Council has done this project with the 70 years of India, and this art project where they're doing 3 different projects. So the idea is to kind of take the history as well as moving forward. How do we, start a conversation, which is what this project specifically is trying to do. And it looks at the past as well as the present and the future.
Also tend to be very, very silly, and it inspires a lot of humor. For example, when I went to your part of the world and I saw the museum and everything on the Loch Ness Monster,
right?
Some of it is incredibly silly, and it brought about a lot of humor. So is humor a part of the piece? I mean, you can have mythology and folklore and still have it a lot of fun.
Yeah, very much so. We've got some bits where we explore serious issues, and then parts where we just break all that and lighten up. Like, for example, we've got one very funny, very silly, but also quite meaningful story, which is from Scotland, and I shared, but we have Sheena telling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're telling the story from Scotland.
Yeah. And I think there's also something exciting about that, is because with this, sometimes when you have this story or you have a piece of work that's very dear to you, you become almost protective of it. And it's nice to have someone who can take it in and be a little irreverent with it and shake things up. So it's happened with the stuff that I've shared as well. And, other artists in the room have picked it up and things that they have done with it. The show, as we imagined it, because I think what we need to stress on is the reality of the fact that we are 4 individuals who have never met before. And we had to create a show in a very, very small time frame. So for us, and we also come from very different artistic languages. So the show, when we visualize it, we want it to be that mad journey that we went on to create it. So the moments that are more serious, moments that are lighter, moments that are fun, moments that are silly. I think, and being silly is also very important, and playful. I think it's essential. So we want the show, the graph of the show, to reflect the graph that we've been on in the past 2 weeks just creating this show.
Okay, just some statutories. We're live on your radio sets on 94.3 on the FM band. We're also live online across the nation, audio on www.onecast.in, that's numeral 1cast.in, across India. And only if you're not driving, you're in the backseat of a radio taxi, you're being chauffeur driven, or you're at home or at the office without a radio set, then we stream video on Facebook, facebook.com/radio1.mum, on Facebook at facebook.com/HRISHIKAY, and on Twitter and Periscope at HRISHIKAY. The Chainsmokers are back with a new one. It's called Everybody Hates Me, back in a couple of minutes with these fine folks. The Chainsmokers, Everybody Hates Me. I like it when Coldplay and Chainsmokers did that song together. Vinay, who's holding the camera for all these video upgrades, was just into the Chainsmokers. And at the time, I didn't know who the Chainsmokers were. I was just the Coldplay man. So generation shift. Nevertheless, the Chainsmokers land up on our playlist. Everybody Hates Me, the new song. I'm in conversation with Neeraj, Sheena and Daniel. They're part of a new conversation, the Scottish Storytelling Centre in Edinburgh, in Scotland, along with G5A, the Foundation of Contemporary Arts here in Mahalakshmi, a wonderful facility. They've gotten together and they're creating a series of workshops. 2 artists from Scotland, 2 from India, and 1 documenter, if ever there was a word like that, all getting together to create some wonderful stuff. The 24th and the 25th are when the performances go on stage. It's just $250. Get on to Book My Show and really see some great contemporary arts, theatre, storytelling, all coming together. More conversation.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
Okay, so Sheena, Mohammed, I imagine, does his storytelling in Urdu. So was that really a factor? Because considering that you have, 2 people from Scotland, was language ever a barrier?
I think Daniel would be able to answer that more appropriately. See, for me, my personal belief is that as an artist, you should create in the language that comes to you, that the language that's needed for that creation. So Mohammed, he works in Kashmiri, he works in Urdu, he works in English. So we've used all of that in the piece as well.
So tell me, language.
I really enjoy hearing the different languages. I really enjoy Indian accents as well. And
but did somebody tell you the gist of what he's talking about? You obviously had to have somebody tell you.
Yeah. We have him going back and forth and he translates. And sometimes they'll go into talking Hindi or Urdu and then come back to English, and it's fine. I find it really interesting and really rich. There's so much in language, even if you don't understand it.
That happens actually sometimes where Mohammed will ask me a question, or I'll ask him a question and he'll respond in Hindi, and I've understood. And so then we're like, we move on, and Daniel and Aili are like, no, guys, what was that again?
And it's very important, as you've noticed, in between conversations, when we switch off the mics and we go into song, it's very important for us, Sheena, Bombayites like you and me, to swear in Hindi.
I don't know what you're talking about. talking about.
Yeah, sure, Mother Mary. Okay, listen, the fact that this is also going to happen in Scotland, Daniel, lead us through that conversation and all the able partners who've come together to make this happen, please.
Oh, yeah, as well as Devia and G5A and Scottish Storytelling Centre. We've also got Creative Scotland to thank, which is the big arts body in Scotland, and of course the British Council, who are a big part of this. So we're going to head home after this project's over, myself and Ailey, and then at the beginning of May we have Tradfest, which is this great, fairly new traditional culture festival in Scotland. It's traditional but it's contemporary as well, and we're going to have these guys coming coming over and we're going to perform together at the Scottish Storytelling Centre. So we're going to be doing Where I Stand There, slightly different, but the same piece essentially. And we're going to get to show these guys Scotland. So we're really excited about taking what we've created here and introducing it to the people there.
So Sheena, is this going to be your first trip, or have you gone to the Fringe before, the Edinburgh Fringe? All the Bombay theatre people seem to have gone there. Yeah,
I have not been actually, and I am hoping to go there soon. What we're going for is the Trad Fest.
Correct.
That happens in May. I haven't been to. Actually, I have been to Scotland when I was 5 years old, but I really don't think that counts.
Count.
That doesn't count. I agree, it doesn't count. So I'm very excited to go, and I'm very excited to perform this piece that we've created here in Scotland, to see how it's received by audiences there. I think it's really exciting, and as an artist, you don't get that opportunity very often to create a show with a certain audience in mind and then have to perform it to a completely different audience.
Sure, yeah. So does that mean you're on board for Scotland too? Yeah.
Hopefully, if the funds are there, I will be going to Scotland as well. Yes, that was part of the.
Yeah, you got to take your
goals,
tech,
exactly.
man. You know, it's not like them;
Yeah.
they can just show up. Yeah. Maybe Daniel's friend, who is the fiddle player, needs to take some tech along. But Sheena and gang can just show up.
I'll just pack him in my bag. I'll pack him
right?
in my bag. And
But
take him.
one of the beautiful things that I was going to add on to that is, since I came on at an early stage, one of the big components and the ideas behind the thing was to create a piece of performance that transcends borders.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's not, Divya's hope is not that it won't just be performed at G5A and Scottish Storytelling Centre, but if it gets invited to a performance, say, in Africa or Australia or in the States, it can be understood and appreciated and still have relevance to them as well. So to see people of 4 different backgrounds talk about land and the places they come from and where they stand today is very interesting, because I think that is a very global concept as in today's world, because we keep moving from places to place. I've lived in California, in New York, in Bombay, and I've spent time in many other cities. So I think that's a big part of today's generation, and I think that's really coming through to the piece, because it looks back into the worlds we come from and it looks into where we are today.
Nice. Speaking of which, Divya Bhatia, man, where does he get the time and energy to do all the stuff that he's doing? He curates Adhyam, he curates a new conversation, he curates a literature festival in between, still finds time to hang at the Otters Club, which is where I find him. So, okay, last leg of conversation coming up after some messages and a song. So you're not going to hear us for about 8 minutes, and keep yourself busy. I'm going to read out all your comments at the end of the show. 1 space your comment, space your name to 53650 on SMS. On Twitter and Facebook, it's HRISHIKAY. Tweet out, post in the timeline inbox, and facebook.com/radio1.mum. There again, post a comment or question on the timeline inbox. Happy to bring it up on the show. See you in a bit. 9:42. My name is Hrishi K.
94.3 Radio 1.
The retro pick for the show. I'm your man, Wham. At 9:52, Sheena, Neeraj and Daniel are here. It's a wonderful collaboration between Scottish and Indian artists. The Scottish Storytelling Centre at Edinburgh and the G5A Centre, the Foundation for Art, right here in Mahalakshmi. 24th and 25th are 2 performances at 8 p.m. And Where I Stand is what it's called. And they've gotten together to create some stage magic, if I can call it that. Last leg of conversation. Thank you, Alex Valadares. I hope I've got your surname pronounced right there. Thank you. Great show today. He says, Neha Vadva, good morning. She said, I have an amazing idea for you to talk about in your show. It's got to do with engaging with wealth. We have a daily finance show between 8 and 9. I wonder if you've caught that. Or if you have some other interesting ideas, I'll get in touch with you later. Roger C. Fernandez, I'm sad to hear about Mumbai's ranking in internet speed. I guess perhaps we pay much less than other countries for data. Is this why we're compromising on quality? Well, you've been listening very carefully between 8 and 9, my friend, and we'll come back to that discussion. But yes, part of it is that, if you subsidize and you want to make your subscriber base enormous, then you compromise on quality, don't you? A last leg of conversation with these cats.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
Come on, tell me about the other Scottish lady. I believe she's a musician. Yeah?
Yeah, her name's-
You are too, right? You're a musician too.
A little bit. I play didgeridoo, but I don't count myself.
Oh, I love
as a
that
real
instrument,
musician.
man.
Sorry?
Didgeridoo, I love it. I love the way it sounds. It's just so, how do I put it? It's ethereal.
Yeah, it's ethereal. A lot of people say it's like the voice of the earth. And yeah, it's been a lot of work to learn, but I've never learned music. Like, I've never learned notation. I've never learned songs, melodies or anything. So I don't think of myself as a musician as much as that. But yeah, Ailey, she lives near Glasgow in Scotland, and she plays the fiddle or violin, and she plays Scottish traditional music. She also plays classical music, and she's amazing. Like, she's been able to just listen to the stories we're talking about, we're telling, listen to Mohammed's music, and then just start creating something. She'll go away and come back in half an hour, and she's got a new piece, and it's beautiful.
Nice. I'm going to put you on the spot now. Come on, Sheena, Danielle. Do a bit of what we can expect in Where I Stand. Yeah?
Yeah. Well, one thing I do is tell parts of this amazing epic story that's used to be told across Scotland and Ireland, called the Toynbee Cully and the Cattle Raid of Cully, and I'll just give you the beginning of that. So, in Cruachanfort, in Connacht, in Ireland, long ago, as the winter winds howled outside, King Ailill and Queen Maeve were engaged in pillow talk. And Ailill turned to Maeve and said, "It's true what they say, isn't it? Wealthy woman, wealthy man's wife." And she said, "True? What makes you say it?" And he said, "You do, because you were never so wealthy as you are since you married me."
And to
Could be
know more
any
about
Indian
that,
king. It could be what any Indian king says to any Indian king.
and to know how that story
Pillow talk
ends.
around the world. It's the same. Sorry, you were saying.
I was going to say, to know how that story ends, and you can imagine it does not end well with the husband saying something like that to his wife. You have to come see our show.
Sure.
And bear in mind that Queen Maeve is a ferocious queen, and, well, there's war involved in the outcome of that conversation.
Whoa. And Neeraj, this must be an interesting space. I know that you've been involved from the inception, and it's not just the black box that you're working at.
Absolutely.
But the fact that at the center, at the foundation, with the black box, must be a very interesting space for you to work in, and where G5 comes in.
Absolutely. So, like, one of the beautiful things about the black box itself is it's literally just a black cube, and you can do whatever you want inside it. You can put the audience wherever you want. You can put the characters wherever you want. You can adjust the lighting however you like. So it truly is a transformative space, which is what's so beautiful about the black box itself. And G5A has created this black box to kind of encourage anyone to think to the highest of their imaginations, or like to the furthest reaches of their imaginations, to create pieces that truly utilize that space. There's no stage, there's no limitations to where you can perform or how you can perform, right? So that's the beauty of it, and I think G5A is really excited to produce this first piece as part of their mission statement is to create this great, like, meeting place for artists and an ecosystem for artists to meet and discuss ideas and stuff. So I think this is like one of the first steps towards actually fully achieving that mission.
Super stuff. 24th and 25th. It's just $250 a pop. So go to Book My Show, get your tickets, and see this wonderful experiment which is born fruition. Thank you very much, Sheena, Danielle, Neeraj. See you guys soon.
Thank you
Yeah?
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Santana, Rob Thomas, Smooth, 9:57. I'm Hrishi K.